personality. And that is why he was quite shocked and surprised that Professor Yemi would come out. But I do not think that Asiwaju is afraid of Professor Yemi, because in the coming days, what people are going to do is that they are going to interrogate the claims of any contestant and contender, and not pretender, against their evidence. So, for example, if you take on the speech of Yemi Osinbajo yesterday, you see that he categorized his speech into 4 places. He talked about the economy as his strength. He talked about the idea of his servanthood or loyalty. He talked about his participation in security intervention. Then he also talked about the idea of continuing on what President Muhammadu Buhari started. Believe me, in the coming days, when we begin to interrogate that, you will find that Yemi Osinbajo may not even be near Asiwaju. And let me just give you a graphic example. The economy, which happens to be the strongest strength of Professor Yemi. You know that that is the only aspect of governance that the Constitution devolved to the Vice President. But let me tell you something. Throughout these 7 years that Professor Yemi Osinbajo piloted the economic affairs of this country, we had unemployment rose from 9% to 35%. Inflation ran from 9% to 25%. The dollar jumped from 197 to $1 to 580. The fuel from 87 to 162, and the GDP declined by $41 billion. And anybody who knows President Buhari knows that this man, when he gives responsibility to you, he does not interfere. In fact, that's why he's being criticized as somebody who does not supervise someone. So the biggest strength of Professor Yemi Osinbajo is his weakest point. Now, if you are going to juxtapose that with Asiwaju, because since he left Lagos, he has not had the privilege of governing anywhere. You can only judge him against the time he was governor in Lagos. Everybody knows how he turned the IGR. Everybody knows how Lagos became different from every other state during Asiwaju. So on the economy alone, when they begin to interrogate, you will see that Asiwaju, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will flow Osinbajo. Let me tell you the second one. He talked about the servanthood and loyalty. You will see his opening words. In the last 7 years, I have served under, then he began to mention the president, the patriot, this, I served faithfully and loyally. In the coming days, a lot of people will take a different opinion to that. And they will tell you how that in the past 7 years, Professor Yemi Osinbajo's office as the vice president was run like a parallel government to the government of President Buhari, to the point where it was alleged at the time that anytime Muhammadu Buhari transmit power to him and travel abroad, he will go ahead and appoint people into critical places of the places where the president is already considering a file on his table. Professor Yemi Osinbajo will proceed and to appoint people, and Buhari will come and it will present the case of fait accompli. It has happened several times during the period. There are people that would also tell you that during his time as vice president, any executive order that did not emanate from his office on the instruction of the president, he has never supported that. Some people will tell you that even the time when Buhari was sick and in London, when the people were putting pressure for him to come or resign, there are people who say Professor Yemi Osinbajo did little or nothing to counter that, as against those times when people rise against him, that he will be actively involved in countering that. So this is when it comes to loyalty. When it comes to intervention in security, there are Christian community that will tell you that Professor Yemi Osinbajo has had the privilege on several occasions during the pendency of this presidency, where power was transmitted, and he had the opportunity to negotiate and release Leah Sharibu and intervene in places where Christians were badly wounded. And Professor Yemi Osinbajo did not do that. And the reason they said he did not is because around those times, he exercised the same power in giving appointment to his friends and cronies that are now participating in pushing for his agenda for presidency. Then he talked about the idea of continuing what the president started. In fact, this is where people will tell you he wants to buy the emotion of the president, because every president in his second term will want anybody that will succeed him to complete what he has started. But there are people that will tell you that a man who could not be loyal to the person who introduced him to politics can never be loyal to complete what his principal has started. And a classical case is when Yaradua died, his 8-point agenda was thrown through the window by Goodluck Jonathan, and a different thing was started. And if you look at the antecedents, as people will tell you, of Professor Yemi Osinbajo, they will tell you that that is a lip service. There is no evidence to suggest that he will complete what President Buhari has started. So in the coming days,